Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. We're interviewing a couple of members of the Rastafari Society of Kenya. You'll just wait for that interview. It's fascinating. But as always, let's bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
Okay, our interview is coming up in a moment, but if you or a loved one are looking for help obtaining a medical marijuana permit anywhere in the United States, give us a call. We have a physician referral service. You can call us at 503 235 4606. That's 503 235 4606. Get ready for a fascinating interview from Nairobi, Kenya. Help us restore hemp. Good night. Hello, I am honored to have as my guests two members of the Rastafari Society of Kenya. And they are in Kenya, in Nairobi. And we have Ross Makau and Ross Wambua. I'd like to thank you guys for coming on the show. I know it's difficult to get these connections going. So welcome. So
Give thanks, Paul.
yes,
We give thanks for life. We give thanks for health. We give thanks for family and community. We give thanks for this opportunity also to be to reason with our friends and families international as well. We're
thank
grateful
you.
to be here.
We had just met a little bit over a week ago there in Nairobi, and I came by the office or the headquarters meeting place of the Rastafari Society of Kenya, and then I gave a presentation there that you attended at the National Museums of Kenya and the University of Nairobi's Institute of Gender, Anthropology, and African Studies. And so I appreciate that you guys were able to come to that presentation. Can you tell us a little bit about the Rastafari Society of Kenya?
Give thanks. The Rastafari Society of Kenya is a collective, is a community of Rastafari devoted brothers and sisters and children as well, and elders. Currently registered as the Rastafari Society of Kenya, but is actually representing the Rastafari community, which is also an international movement present mostly in all nations of the earth. So the Rastafari movement is mostly cultural based, is also a spiritual movement, and the culture also is mostly geared around natural living, around nature, which means around agriculture. Most of us are farmers, and we love natural environments and natural food, and also the other part of the culture is also art, which is also the culture teaches mostly self-reliance and self-sustainability. So most of our members and most Rastaman and Rasta women are self-employed, mostly around arts and crafts. Most Rasta people are good crafts people. So art is also another part of the Rastafari community in Kenya, and music, as most of the Rasta people are also in the reggae music, as we are well known with the music. So we find that we have artists, we have a single recording artist, and also we have the music in the community, which is the drumming, the Naya Bingi chanting. So this is the main elements of the Rastafari, and also we have teachings like peace, love, and unity. So we find that unity is also a main part in the teachings. So being on our continent of Africa, so we find ourselves rallying around African unity, mostly on these areas that I just mentioned, on culture and art and music and the environment and agriculture, as well as lovers of natural environment. We find ourselves involved in agriculture and environment as well. So it's a community, it's basically is a community of people coming together to address day-to-day challenges and opportunities that we meet as a people, as a collective, learning from the principles of collective security and working together in community and unity.
That's beautiful. Tell us about Kenya in general. This is our show is Cannabis Common Sense, and I understand the laws in Kenya are very bad and severe for cannabis in Kenya. Could you explain that to our audience?
Yeah, according to the law of, according to the law of 1994, it was said that cannabis is illegal, but it can be used as a medicine. You see, those laws, when they make it, or when the lawmakers put that on parliament, they didn't consider indigenous people who are using that plant. So they kept us out of the right of using the cannabis. That's why we went to the court to seek how they can. We are not opposing the government, but we need them to consider as users of this plant. Also, if they can free it can be heal many people and better our economy as well. So we are waiting for this day to given. We have waited for 3 years now.
In your legal case,
all because of yeah, but mostly because of financial situation. We sometimes we don't manage to pay our lawyers. You see, but we are struggling with it. We are fighting to free marijuana right here in Kenya. And if you assist us in any way, you will seem. I don't know how to. I don't know how to explain it, but me mostly I would like to talk Kiswahili. But if you have someone there to translate to you in Kiswahili, in English, yeah.
So kindly allow me to interject. As you asked about the laws,
yeah,
the laws are quite oppressive in Kenya because I mean, it's quite unfortunate that our governments do not consider even basic human rights. For example, like we get unwarranted searches from time to time, and the system itself, the governments being corrupt themselves. You know, it means from the law itself does not is not has not changed to legalize cannabis, and with the corruption within the system, it means from your you can be arrested for cannabis from you cannot pay bribes, then anything can happen to you. You can end up in jail, serving long term. And these cases have destabilized many families because you find a man is arrested and he is the breadwinner of his family. So then he ends up in prison, and then his family is destabilized. You know, the women having left alone, they end up having to do despicable things to fend for them. So the law itself is quite oppressive, but there's been activists and different people who have been in the front line to try and change to engage with the legislative arms of the government so that laws can change. So we've had different people, as my elder just mentioned, the Rastafari Society of Kenya have a case in court, which is to try because as the Rastafari, as you just mentioned, many indigenous tribes in Kenya used cannabis as a culturally as a medicine or for different uses. So for our part is to remind to try and reason in these rooms where lawmakers are, to remind them that the cultural indigenous groups are still around, and the Rastafari as part of these cultural indigenous groups, we still would like to have the rights to use it as our cultural plant, as a cultural medicine. And also in the modern times, that has been done. It is also a great medicine, as we know of CBD and many and the CBN and CBG and many medicinal compounds that can come from the plant. So there is the talks and deliberations which is going on within from us as the representing the cultural group, and also government arms, for example, like the Ministry of Health. I understand there's a ongoing reasoning to study the plant and the medicinal compounds. And recently in December, we just had a conference which was to discuss on the industrial aspect of the plant, and which great research has been done. Even our brother Paul was in the proposal you did at the museum. We could see that extensive research has been done, which can be provided also for lawmakers. So we're in that process of engaging lawmakers and engaging different people who are involved, so that we can reason and see how we can policies can change, and also as a cultural people how we can find even loopholes within the government that we can still use the medicine to treat our people. For example, now I believe we have a reasoning ground because as tables are turning and as things are changing, we need to be able to have the so-called alternatives. I mean, they should be the main medicine, natural medicine, but currently they are being called alternative ways of medicine. So even as alternatives, we should have a way that we can reason for these medications to be for us, even as herbalists, as natural traditional medicine practitioners, to be allowed to use it as a cultural medicine, as a traditional medicine, to help our hailing people. So laws have not changed yet, but there is deliberations currently ongoing that we need to actively be involved, so that we can influence this reasoning. And as my elders say, mostly we need support in different ways, in research and also mostly the finances, so that we are able to move and set up spaces where people can come and sit and reason and also learn, so that we can promote education mostly, because on the ground the people's perspective need to change, because mostly is stereotypes which have been pushed towards the people, not really education on the realistic benefits of the plant. But as we say, the traditional education is there, but we need to partner now the traditional education with scientific education, actual research that has been done. So we need educational spaces, we need books, and we need different education material to educate the people, to change the people's perspective, to know that the plant is actually for them.
I see. So right now, if someone is caught with cannabis, I think I heard the sentence there was 10 to 20 years. You could get 20 years in prison, which is that true?
Yeah, I mean, they talk about 7 years, but I mean, yeah, according to the law,
Uh-huh.
it depends on how much, with the amount that you're caught with.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, sometimes also it depends also with if you're able to pay bribes or not. But talking out of bribes, what the law says, I think is about 7 years is the least you should be able to serve.
Right. Well, that's an incredibly long time, 7 years. But if you have a bribe, then the police
Yeah,
officer might look the other way.
of course, yeah, money talks and bullshit walks.
Yeah. That's one of the main problems with marijuana prohibition is it leads to more corruption. And I know that's a issue everywhere, including here. Now, in Kenya, the main language that most people share is Swahili, but English is also a shared language. But there are 43 different tribal languages that people speak locally. Is that right? 43?
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you both, is Swahili your first language when you at home, or do you speak another language at home when you're a young child?
Yeah, we speak other languages as well, other tongues as well. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
tell me what you thought about the changes with industrial hemp and the ability to make changes. Is there any hope that the government there will allow hemp to be cultivated?
There is hope, eh?
Much hope.
There is hope. There is a lot of hope, because what I understand is that different organizations or individuals have already been allowed to grow on government land for research purposes. And I think now, after that, the next step is now from you are able to prove the zero point 0.3 THC level, then you can be able to you can be allowed to grow, to access land either by lease. Then you can be able to grow for processing now, for either for industrial or for medicine.
So you're starting to allow low THC hemp. Uh, in terms of medicine, what are the current laws for medicine and uh, for are people able to cultivate for medicine?
I think it's still on research level, currently. Traditionally, people are using it as a medicine, because if we see the recent publishes of herbal or traditional medicine, we see the cannabis plant being included as one of the herbs or medicine. Yeah. So the traditional the traditional practitioners are using it, and the laws, it seems, because even for books to be allowed to be published, it seems the laws are also flexible now. not as stiff as they used to be. As scientific or pharmaceutical medicine, I think I've seen it being included in some of the medicine, but not yet as a law passed for them to use nationally.
I see.
But as we know, it is included in some of them.
I see. I see. So, can you tell
Yeah.
me more about the use of cannabis traditionally by the indigenous tribal people? Uh, how long has it been used, and when did the oppression start to prohibit it?
Most of the laws changed when the colonial powers came in place, because most of them they stifled most of the traditional economies. So we find before colonial rule, we find that traditionally it was being used freely, mostly as a medicine, and as for rope as well. Some of the tribes were processing the fiber to make ropes and also to make fabrics out of it. Um, so mostly we find evidence of it being used by traditional people. In Kenya, as far as 300, 400 years ago, you know.
Yeah. So it was a traditional medicine going back to pre-colonial times. So Kenya
Yeah.
was an English colonial. You had the English there as colonial oppressors. Uh,
Yeah.
when did the English? When did they give up and the local government was formed with President Kenyatta? Was that in the 1960s?
Yes, that was in the 60s.
I see. And
And
tell us about how did you come to Rastafari? Was your family Rastafari, or did you learn about it through culture and music? And tell us more about the Rastafari Society of Kenya.
Yeah, Rastafari Society of Kenya is an umbrella to bring all Rastafari together for to protect our people from this too much aggression. What can I say? Uh, as earlier my brother said, we pass through many things like those unwarranted searches at our homes. When policemen visit our homes, they harass our women, our children, uh, pretending they are searching for marijuana or accusing us of selling marijuana. But it is our right to use it, the plant. It is not a criminal. It is not a crime to use a plant which is a God-given plant. So we see it as an aggression, our oppression on our side. Like when you walk uh, before we register RSK, people, even police can stop you on the roadside and start searching you for marijuana, and you don't have it. When you don't have it, they they put one on you. They say that this is yours, so you have to bribe them or bribe out your way. So this thing is keeping us down because most of our money, when you get a small money and you want to cater for your family needs, eh, you bump into some policemen. They took all the money and let you go without anything. So that's why we went to court. to try and negotiate our space in that law. You see, and I think where we are is not easy, but we'll fight on.
Give thanks.
Yeah.
So the give thanks. So the RSK, what my elder is trying to say is that is a registered platform, a recognized platform by the government, is a legal entity that we came up with an idea to have a legal entity to help us do our works, the other works, the cultural works, the art works, and the musical works, to organize around these works and to organize our culture. To have spaces whereby we cannot be which cannot be broken down by police all the time, which we cannot be harassed. At least this is one at least they register, they respect legal entity. So that is why we decided to register an organization. We've been registered as different organizations because we've been together and working together for at least the last 20 years. And for these last 20 years, we've had different organizations as a community, as a youth self-help group. That's how we began. We moved to a community-based organization, and then we've registered also a company as well to help us organize, to help us have respected premises where we cannot be bulldozed. So currently we are registered as the Rastafari Society of Kenya, which is to organize our people so we can have meetings to deliberate on matters to better the welfare of our people. Um, most of us come to the culture, to the Rastafari culture, through the music, to the reggae music, which is an international music, which the Rastafari movement have used as a delivery system for the culture. So, and also through books, we've been beneficiaries of a few books which have gotten to our hemisphere from the Western Hemisphere, mostly from Jamaica and from our brothers and sisters in Jamaica. We've been so lucky to get these books. And also from direct teachings of His Imperial Majesty, Kinemawi Haile Selassie, who is our cultural leader, our spiritual leader. So Ethiopia being the immediate neighbors of Kenya, we've also been very fortunate to learn of state visits that Haile Selassie made to Kenya, and also important institutions that Haile Selassie was part of. So learning from positive benefits from these institutions, and knowing that our spiritual leader is also directly connected to these institutions, have also given us encouragement in our culture and in our faith, and seeing also that our culture is one of the internationally accepted and respected, and also contributing on international matters, have also encouraged us also to be part of this culture, the Rastafari culture. Again, speaking of the reggae music, which is an international music, well, appreciative music, speaking on important issues, the upliftment of our people, again through culture, through art, and through music again. So this has been most of our approach and introduction to the Rastafari culture through the music. And also we are lucky also to learn directly from movements like the Mau Mau, which has been directly involved in the liberation of Kenya. So these people also having shared in some of the Rastafari principles. For example, for instance, like the dreadlocks, which has been a symbol to stand for change, positive change, and to stand to resist colonialism and oppression. So us as direct generations of these descendants has been also part of our encouragement.
So, can you tell me about the lawsuit that you have filed for cannabis liberation in front of the courts in Kenya?
Yeah, we are waiting for to be given a hearing date. Today we are heading to our lawyer's office and try to talk about the whole situation because we feel like it's taking long, but we were told even South Africa took more than that, maybe 18 years or something. But we don't want to reach there. We want everything to work now because we need marijuana and we need it for spiritual uses and medicinal. And that's why we went to court to file this case. And as I said, we don't have much to display, or we don't have exhibits of or production of products of hemp to show the court. So we need help from you people from that side. I think you have already you have those materials. You have something which you can assist us in this case. You see, if we display some exhibits and hemp crate, fiber, yeah,
different material to be able to show what the hemp can produce.
Yeah, even clothing, material like those. There's many products of hemp which we can show. Even we have proposed some another. We want to, if we can find some funds, we want to go around all 47 counties collecting signatures for legalization of marijuana and cannabis. You see, if we can get a million, if we can get a million signatures or more, I think it can push that process very easily. And here we have time to do that, but we don't have resources. How can you people out there help us?
Well, we can publicize you, and that's how we changed the law here. You know, I started gathering signatures to legalize marijuana when I was a young man, and we put it up for once we got enough signatures, and we lost several votes, but finally in 2014, 2012 and 2014, we started to win. And I think the same thing can happen in Kenya. Maybe it's not a direct vote of the people, but you can get it in front of the courts and the parliament. But any way that we can help, you know, we're trying to publicize here and maybe form a what the, you know, about the GoFundMe things where they can raise money and goes directly into your bank account. So we're going to set up a GoFundMe to help raise money for the lawsuit and for the Rastafari Society of Kenya.
Yeah.
So I know you have to pay your lawyers. How much money do they need right now?
It is a lot of money, but we will pay him if we get the money.
Yeah, we'll have discussions with them so that they can give us actual figures that they need so that they can push, because they need to push different at different levels.
Well, I know you're going to.
Even we need even to meet these MPs, members of parliament. You know, people like those ones, you can't call them empty-handed. They personally, when you call people like those ones, you need to hand over something.
Have a gift for them, have a small token of appreciation for them. It's a traditional cultural thing as well. You know, when you call elders for a sitting, you have like a sitting allowance, kind of, you know, to appreciate them. So unfortunately, the government also, when you have MPs, when you call them for a sitting so that they can support any motion in parliament, you need to endorse them. You need to give them some, at least a sitting allowance, even, you know. So even our lawyers have been working mostly and on a voluntary basis. So we need to have that discussion for them, like what actually would they need to get paid so that they can take it as a work now and push from day to day. So we've not had this discussion because we've not had a kitty to cater for that. They say sometimes if you can't cater for someone's needs, it's better you avoid asking at all as a whole, you know. So we need to have this discussion with them so that they can give us actual figures.
Well, when you do have that discussion, please let me know, and we'll share that and set up a way to try to raise funds to help make a difference there. Also, you know, hempcrete is a really good substance. I know that a shipment of hemp herds from here in the United States has just arrived there, and I'll make sure that you can have some of those for your legal case. Also, there's hemp wood, which is actually harder than real wood, and it's made just from 100% hemp stems pressed together, and it's different from hempcrete. Hempcrete has lime in it, where hemp wood is actually stronger than hickory and oak, and it's a very, and we'll get some samples of that to you as well. I know some samples came for our hemp conference that we had there last month, and I'll try to make sure that some get together are sent over to you. I will talk to our friend Kiama about trying to get some of those samples to you. I know that they're working with the government to test him in a number of places, and that should make a difference, but it takes a while. You know, I think I started working for marijuana legalization when I was just a very young man, back in, I think I went to my first cannabis event in 1978. And then in 2012, 40 years later, the laws finally started to change, but it took a lot longer than I anticipated. But now the United Nations has actually ruled that cannabis is a medicine. Previously, the United Nations had said that cannabis was not a medicine, but now they changed about a year and a half ago so that it's not against international law, and that should open up changes in Kenya too. Tell me more about the society and your work there. I got to meet you in Nairobi, and I actually went out to Malindi on the coast for about less than 2 days, but I met Rastafari out there in Malindi as well. A Rastafari singer, Simba K, is his name. Have you ever heard of him?
Simba K. There's a lot of Rasta people in Mombasa. So in Malindi. So that's Malindi. The RSK, we have limited numbers of members there. We've not been able to consistently reach out to the coast. We have a member there. We have, I think, 1 or 2 members there, not in Malindi, they're in Mombasa. This is our evidence that we've been, that is in our plan to expand. Mostly our works have been focused in Nairobi. We've had members whom we've been together in Nairobi, but who've traveled to different areas. Our headquarters is in Nairobi, and Nairobi is like the boiling point, it being the capital city, and most of us coming from different areas of the country. We find ourselves, that is how we met, mostly through the Rastafari culture, but in Nairobi, in the city. So we find it is also the boiling point. This is where things are happening, and this is where things are moving. So for us to be able to be exposed to what's going on around us, we've had to maintain the office in Nairobi, and unfortunately, due to limitations in different kinds of limitations, we've not been able to consistently expand. We've had outreaches due to the internet now, reasoning with one on one, but as an institution, we do not yet have office in the coast. So to be good to have to share some of the links also that you made while you were in the past, Brother Paul.
So I came there and I gave my presentation there at the National Museum of Kenya, in addition to the HIP conference before that. But you were able to attend at the National Museum of Kenya. What was your impression of that presentation?
Yeah, the presentation was well presented, and we gave thanks for that invitation. Uh, because we need to learn more and more about this plant. You see, we have even the duty to teach our people about the plant and the benefits of the plant. So that's why we are trying to organize even a radio station, or if even if we get some strength, if we can set even a TV station, so that we can freely talk about the plant. Because in these other TV channels, they limit some discussions. Even they don't like publishing about marijuana. It has been a while since they call us there to discuss about the plant. You see, some editors even they don't think it is a good thing to discuss in a national TV, national radio. But if we can set our own gadgets and we get some frequency from government, I think we can reach more people.
So as the Rastafari community this is also one of our agendas, that soon we can have a community radio. So we would love also to share with you, Brother Paul, as well. As you mentioned, you had these channels of communication. So as a community, we would like to have a community radio which can reason on community matters, cultural matters, art, music, so that also we can also have teachings and invite experts on these on culture and art to educate our people to share these on these topics. So we believe also the radio would be a good medium to teach on cannabis education, hemp education. And as you asked earlier about the the court case, we think it's important to bring in, because we it was mainly to deliberate on the legalization of cannabis as a recreation, but it's important now we present the different aspects of the plant. We bring in the reasoning about medicine, the medicinal cannabis, and also how that can impact our economy and the health of our people, and also the industrial aspect. How it can support our developing economy, and also support, add into the range of varieties of building materials, because currently the mainstream materials of building are expensive. So most of the young people who are struggling with unemployment, when we think of building homes for our families or institutions, it becomes a burden because most building materials are expensive. But we know that can be changed with hemp, for example, industrial hemp with the hempcrete and what we just talked about, Paul, the hemp wood and different varieties of material that the hemp can be able to provide. So it's important now that we have support. We support our court case with more material, with more reasoning. You know, we diversify the talk a bit now on economy rather than just recreation, because the currently we were talking on recreation, which is a main part of our culture as Rastafari people. Um, but it's important that we represent these other aspects. So we are going to need also the already done research, even
Appreciate that you taking the time to come on our show and explain about uh, Rastafari and Kenya. So, I know in Africa, jobs for people are really what's needed. There's a lot of young people that cannot find work, and hopefully hemp can help employment and create jobs. That's what it's done here in my home, is that we have created 10,000 jobs in just the cannabis stores in selling to adults. In terms of, I was saying before that, employment and gainful work is something that the people in Kenya and across Africa are sorely in need of, economic development. And hemp and cannabis create tens of thousands of jobs. That's what we have done here in America. I worked to make marijuana legal for 40 years before we finally were able to start seeing it legal. But since then, we've created tens of thousands of jobs in hemp and cannabis. And I think Africa definitely needs to create jobs as well.
Pardon, my brother, he's just excused himself for a bit. He'll be back. But let's keep it going.
That's no problem. So, tell us more about plans in terms of, you've got this lawsuit been pending for 3 years. Do you know what the next step is with your lawsuit?
We're waiting for hearing from the case now. So from their side, from the legislative side, they've been having their deliberations and their discussions. Actually, the matter should be in discussion in Parliament the 25th of February.
That's real soon.
That's real soon. So we are waiting to hear on the outcome of that. And also our case is pending. We are waiting for hearing soon to wait to respond now from their side.
Yeah.
But I think while we are waiting on that, we can still provide more material for support. For example, as we discussed with you the last time, Paul, that it's important if we can be able to provide, our lawyer can be able to provide them with more research. For instance, on the side of, sorry?
If I can be any help with that, just let me know. If you want to give your lawyers my contact information as well. And I also shared my presentation, which is really just a series of photos, so I'd be happy to share that with you. That's very easy. But any other research about hemp or anything that I can help provide your lawyers, just let me know to do so. Wambua coming back. So Ross, how did you first come to the Rastafari Society of Kenya? How did you find out about it and become active?
I'm one of the young people, I'm one of the young people who've been raised in the Rastafari community and movement here in Kenya. Been part of the culture from I was around from 14 years of age. Now I'm almost 40. So when the I was privileged that when the RSK, when the Rastafari Society of Kenya was in the making, even when the constitution was being formed and when the elders registered it, I was amongst the elders from the first chairman, and now we are going through the second chairman. So I was as a youth growing amongst these elders, and seeing also their activism and them also standing up also for the community. So this is what has inspired me also to be here and to be this was my gateway to RSK and also to the culture as well.
What about you, Ross? How did you first come to the Rastafari Society of Kenya?
You mean as a faith or as a group?
Either way, both.
Yeah, I mean as a faith is through the teachings of His Majesty Haile Selassie, and also through his statesmanship when we see him standing firm on international matters and also on Ethiopian national matters, Ethiopian unity, and also on African unity. So this has been my inspiration to the faith, to see that example of him. So sorry, I have to move closer and get connected to a charger so that I can keep charging. um, so the culture as one of the cultures that is standing up for unity, cultural unity, international unity. For example, Haile Selassie teaches us of world citizenship and international morality and collective security. So these principles are some of the principles that inspire us to stand as Rastafari, as a people, as a faith. To know as humanity we need unity so that we can collectively we can work together to bring about the change that we foresee and that we feel and that we are convicted that is what should be. So this is what inspires us to be amongst the culture. And RSK, because the Rastafari Society of Kenya stands for these principles, is what inspires me also to be a member of this society and community, to continue working towards collective security and unity of a community. So,
All right. So, well, we're almost out of time. So is there anything that you would like to say in closing, Ross Wambua and Ross Makau?
Yeah, we thank you very much for this opportunity you gave us through your channel, and we hope to do more with you people out there. We'll appreciate very much for your assistance. Any assistance you are ready to receive it and do the more uh, educating our people about this plant, the benefits of it, both economically and medicinally. What I can say is that it has been a pleasure.
Are we still on? Seems like we're frozen. Can you hear?
Well, it's my gratitude to you as well for coming on to our show. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing, Ross Makau?
Give thanks also. It's good to link up and to deliberate on to continue on these talks on this wonderful plant, which is truly a solution to many issues that is facing humanity. As a community, we see these plants as being mostly a solution towards economic problem, as you said, towards creating an employment for many of our young people and women, and also even being able to create social places, even as a building material, which as a people we need to recreate these social places that we can have healthy social, economic, cultural talks, and is also a wonderful opportunity that we can also converge and reason also with our brothers and sisters from across the continent. Um, so would really be honored to a continued relation that we can continue following through and working together, so that we can actually be actively be involved in this championing for this plant and many other social, cultural, economic issues that we can be able to work together to influence a change, so that both of our peoples, and humanity in general can be able to enjoy the blessings, that Mother Nature and nature has for us, because really there is more than enough to fill everybody's need, but never enough to fill a few people's greed. So because there is enough to fill everybody's need, it's a wonderful opportunity to work together with our brothers and sisters and with the extended family, so that we can be able to change um, what we can. Um, I remember yesterday you did mention in short about our brother Logeron, who could not be able to make it to this morning meeting, but we would love also to think of him as our brother, and to see if we can, how can we work together also to have a fundraising, so that we can help him with his health, because him as our brother, as our elder, we see that we need to work together as a community. So again, if we can be able to share ideas, to bounce ideas across each other on how we can be able to help with this situation, because him has he's been an activist and as a leader who's championed also on the reasoning, at least on cannabis, and to champion and not to shame, and to stand as a user and to say yes, this plant is a solution. So as a brother and as an activist, also as a cannabis activist, as our brother in this platform, we would request also that we open this reasoning and we continue sharing on ideas on how we can be able to collectively um, contribute, towards health. Yeah? So, Brother Paul, if you can speak on that, let me leave the
Yes,
floor for you a bit.
I definitely will. We'll pass by greetings along to Elder Logeron, who I was honored to meet there when I visited, and I will work on that. And I want to thank you, Ross Makau and Ross Wambua, for coming on our show today. I appreciate this. We'll have it up on the internet shortly, and we'll share it here across America and the world. Thank you. And keep working to restore hemp